Hey everyone, so I'm going to go over the content for distance learning week 3 of phase 2. So you're on Google Classroom, it looks like this. You're going to scroll all the way to the bottom of classwork and it is right here, distance learning week 3. I'm going to click on Peace Can Happen, which is this one right here. It looks like this. And so day 1, which was yesterday, April 27th, if you are catching up, this is where a perfect time for you to catch up. If you already did it, you can review it with us or go ahead and fast forward. So day 1, it says, quick write, pick one of the following prompts to write about. So you are only picking one of these bullet points to write about. So I'm going to go over each one. So the first one says, has there been a time when someone has shown caring and compassion to you? Please describe the situation and how the person's caring and compassion affected you. The second bullet point says, do you expect some people to be caring and compassionate? Do you expect others not to be caring and compassionate? Please explain. And the last bullet point says, is it possible to be caring and compassionate towards some people and not towards others? Why or why not? So this last bullet point is asking you, is it possible for people to treat others with compassion and caringness versus a different type of people? So in other words, do you treat your friends differently than strangers? Do you show caring and compassion to both of them? Explain why or why not. So you're going to do a quick write right here. It is a minimum of 5 sentences. You remember, you are only picking one of the bullet points. Next one, before you get into the actual short story, you're going to do this. Background activity, read the article Introduction to the Holocaust by United States Holocaust Memorial Museum. So that is located right here where it says background article. And you're going to click on that and it looks like this. You don't have to mark the text for this. This is just for you so you can understand. This is just for background information. You're just going to read it. And you don't need to turn anything in. It's just for you, so you all can see it. And then right here where it says day 2 and 3, you're going to read and annotate. So the first read, you are very familiar with annotating. So you're going to number the paragraphs, read the article, only read it, circle words you do not know. Second read, use context clues to help you define words. So the words around it, that's what context clues are, to help you define a word that you do not know. Underline words or phrases the author uses that stand out to you and explain in the margins or draw a picture what those words and phrases mean to you. Highlight important events that happen between the characters. So you're going to do that. You're going to read it first. And then this one right here, it says, for the third read, you're going to write an objective summary of the short story and include the items below. So this is where you're going to write your objective summary right here. But you are going to have to read first. You're going to read it first, and then you're going to go back and write your objective summary. So I'm going to go ahead and read the article out loud, and you can follow along as you please. So peace can happen. As you read, pay attention to Kingree's account of her grandmother's experience during World War II and the surprising feelings her grandmother came to have towards German people. Then notice the impact these have on Kingree during a visit to Japan's Atomic Bomb Museum and Peace Park. My grandmother was born in northern Russia to a large family of 14 siblings. She was 16 years old when World War II broke out. Her first job was going onto the battlefields to dismantle bombs that hadn't exploded. She was captured by the Nazis when she was 17 and taken to a work camp in Germany. They shaved off her waist-length hair and tortured her. Grandma never saw her parents and siblings again. Her mother died when Grandma was young. Her father was taken away to Siberia for political treason and never seen again, and most of her siblings died in the war. My resourceful grandmother escaped the camp and worked for many months as a nurse in underground movements in Germany and in Belgium. She was captured by the Nazis again and put into another concentration camp. This was one This one was bigger, a death camp. There she met my grandfather and the two escaped. After the war, they had nowhere to go. They returned to a concentration camp in Stuttgart, which had been converted into a displacement camp. There, my mother was born and raised. It took my grandparents 11 years to finally come to America. When I was young, I heard many stories about the war. One day when I was 8, I said to my grandmother, "I hate the Germans for what they did to you. Don't you just get so mad at them?" I'll never forget my grandmother's response. She said in her broken English, "The Germans are my friends. When I escaped and had nowhere to go, the Germans gave me food, shelter, and clothes. They were my friends, even in the camps. The Germans are the kindest people I know." Her answer shocked me, and it was my first introduction to the meaning of compassion. A few years later in high school, I had the chance to visit Japan. My host family, so this means she went to study in Japan, and the host family is the family that took care of her while she studied over there. My host family took me to Nagasaki to the Atomic Bomb Museum and Peace Park. It was the 15th anniversary of the bombings. I was terrified being so white-skinned and so American. I walked slowly through the crowded exhibits, looking at the black and white photographs. In every picture, in every Japanese victim's face, I saw my grandmother's reflection looking back at me. The experience was overwhelming, and I began to cry. I needed to get air, so I went outside. There in Peace Park, beautiful, colorful origami cranes, thousands of them, were draped over statues and trees. I sat on a bench and cried. I cried for the suffering of the Japanese people. I cried for the suffering of my own family in Europe during World War II. I cried for the suffering yet to be caused by wars sure to come. An old Japanese lady saw me on the bench. She was about my grandmother's age, and she spoke very little English. She sat next to me and put her wrinkled hands in mine. She said, "Peace starts right here. Peace starts with you and me. It starts today." She was right. I didn't have to suffer personally in order to understand the pain of others. I believe that through compassion, peace can happen. It echoes from the heart of a single individual. So, you're going to go back and write your objective summary of the short story and include these: the title, the author, events that occurred in sequential order. So sequential means like in order. So like what happens first, second, and last. And then leave out your opinion. So do not write about your opinion yet. You're just writing an objective summary, like an overview of the short story that we just read. So that's what you're going to do. And then days 4 and 5, so Thursday and Friday, you're going to answer the following questions. Okay, so I'm going to read the questions to you. Which of the following can be considered a theme of the essay? It says peace is possible if we forget about the past. B, peace is a dream that begins within each person. C, peace is a dream that cannot survive in the face of war. D, peace is possible through government cooperation. So remember, the theme is like the life lesson in the story. So what is the life lesson? Question 2. Which two responses you're picking 2, best illustrate the author's feelings about her grandmother? A, she feels that she did not know her grandmother being I'm going to read it again. A, she feels sad that she did not know her grandmother better during her life. B, she admires the resourcefulness and resilience of her grandmother. C, she is inspired by her grandmother's ability to find peace in her past. Or D, she worries that her grandmother's past will haunt the family forever. So you are picking 2, best illustrates the author's feelings about her grandmother. In number 3, in paragraph 2, why does the author put the phrase "work camp in quotation marks. To illustrate that it is a term used to mask the reality of the concentration camps. B, to indicate that she is quoting from the story that her grandmother has told her. C, to show that she is not certain if she should believe the story her grandmother told her. Or D, to ensure that readers pay attention to the phrase as they continue to read the essay. So which one of those, why does the author use quotation marks? Number 4, in paragraph 8, why does the author say that she feels afraid to be white and American? So this is why it is important to number your paragraphs. The museum is intimidating and unlike anything she has visited at home. She worries that the Japanese people will hate her because of the atomic bomb. She did not understand why her host family wanted to join them at the museum. D, it is her first time abroad, so she does not know how to interact with the local residents. So which one of those? Why does she say that she feels afraid to be white and American? Number 5, what is the effect of the metaphor used in sentence 2 of paragraph 9? It shows that the bombing victim's suffering was different from her grandmother's experience. It connects the suffering of the bombing victims with the author's grandmother's sufferings in the camps. C, it proves that her grandmother's experience was significantly worse than that of the bombing victims. D, it indicates the author's inability to understand the significance of the pictures of the bombing victims. So which one of those, what is the effect of the metaphor used in sentence 2 of paragraph 9? Number 6, in what ways is this selection of an example of an informational text? Cite evidence from the selection your response. So, in what ways is this story an example of informational text? So remember, informational text is you're trying to tell us, the reader, a story. So why might the author use that as an example of informational text, as informing the reader? Why would they use that? Remember, to cite evidence from the text. Number 7, what is the author's purpose for writing this selection? Cite evidence from the selection in your response. So what is the author's purpose? Why do you think the author wanted to share her story? Why does she think it's important? Okay, so if you have any other additional questions, if you would like me to go over it with you, all of it with you, I am available to help. So please reach out to me if you would like me to work with you on this article and questions. And that concludes your final week. Remember, all assignments are due May 1st at 11:59 p.m. Bye, guys.